Shalom, everybody. Nice seeing you after Pesach. I want to thank Mother for opening her house. We're resuming our shiurim. We are counting now Sferat HaOmer, the days between Pesach and Shavuot. Initially, in the time of the Holy Temple, these days were very, very happy days. Unfortunately, from the destruction of the Second Temple, we mourn for the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva that died from Pesach to Atzeret during these days. And we know that they died because they were not, let's say, respecting each other the right way. Let's put it this way. So, I want to speak to you today about, in the parashot, next parasha is going to be Tazria Metzorah. We are speaking about Lashon Hara in this parashiot. But before talking about Lashon Hara, I really want to speak about the power of silence. How important it is sometimes to keep quiet, not to respond, not to answer back right away. This is based on Rabbi Shimshon, Rav Shimshon David Pinkus Zatzal. He starts something with this midrash. It says, usually on our tefillot, we're basing our tefillot on the merit of our fathers. בזכות אברהם, בזכות יצחק, בזכות יעקב, בזכות Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. And he's asking, why we are coming to our fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov? Why we're not trying to lean on Adam HaRishon, Noach, Terach? Why Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Because we learned a lot from their acts and we want to learn from them. We know Abraham was Amud HaChesed. He taught us how to take care of other people. Yitzchak taught us Sirat Shamayim, taught us Gvorah, how to strain ourselves. Yaakov taught us Torah, how important it is to build a house of Torah. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah taught us so much. It says that when Hashem destroyed the temple, so Abraham comes to him and tells him, Hashem, you asked me to come and sacrifice my son for you, for your name. And I did it on Har Moriah, on this mountain where the holy temple was. I didn't ask questions. I did whatever you asked me to do. Why do you destroy the temple in this place that an heroic thing was happening over there? Yitzchak comes and tells us, Hashem, I didn't fight against my father when he wanted to make the Akedah. I was willing to do it. I was okay with this. Yaakov, he says, Hashem, it was so hard to build this house of Beit Israel. Lavan wanted to destroy. He didn't help me. He bothered me all the time, constantly, until I built it. I gave all my life for it. And now you're destroying the holy temple? Moshe comes to him and tells him, I was leading the Jewish nation for 40 years in the desert. It was so hard for me. I was their shepherd. And now that's what you're doing to my people? Comes to him, Rachel, and tells Hashem, אני הבאתי צרה לביתי. I brought another wife to my husband. It wasn't an easy thing. I gave her the simanim to my sister, just not to embarrass her, to humiliate her, whatever. And if I was able to hold myself all this time, and it's not an easy thing to hold. It's not 1 week. It's not 3 weeks. It's not how hard it is sometimes. And you remember, we just passed Pesach. You sit with all the family, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Your in-laws, your sister-in-laws, your brother, your sister, your I don't know who. It's not easy sometimes to hold yourself and not to say something back, not to answer something. Yeah. And Rachel did it, all this time that she was engaged to her husband, and she was engaged to him for 7 years. Okay, and then she didn't know if her husband if Yaakov will marry her. She thought she's going to marry to his brother, the gangster. Who knows what type of life she's going to have? Yet, she gave the simanim, and she was holding herself. And we see so much examples from the Midrashim that Leah never felt that Rachel made her a favor. Lavan never knew how Rachel had to work on herself so much. Okay? And Hashem is answering Rachel, and he tells her, you know something, because you did that, it's okay, don't cry. I will bring the people, Jewish people back, and everything will be okay. So Hashem answered Rachel, not to Abraham, not Yitzchak, not to Yaakov, to Rachel. We know also that Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our fathers, they did a lot. Hashem is asking Abraham, take your son and sacrifice him. He could have asked, Hashem, you said, Ki b'Yitzchak yikra lecha zera. That's going to be the nation that's going to come out of me. He could ask, he could say something. He never said anything. And because of this Akedat Yitzchak is so important. We lean on this Akedat Yitzchak constantly in our prayers, in Rosh Hashanah, in other prayers as well. So they hold their tongue. They hold their whatever they wanted to say, and Hashem appreciates it very much. We all know that there is a rule that whenever you cannot go into a car that doesn't have brakes. If you go to a car that doesn't have brakes, God forbid, who knows how dangerous it is. If the car cannot stop, our tongue, okay, is the brakes that we have to put. If we don't use it the right way, it could be a disaster. Because with our words, with our talk, we can say all kinds of things. We can destroy families and communities and who knows what. So on this, I should say, loud silence, we lean. Loud silence of our fathers and our mothers. This is what we lean on. How important it is to keep silent. Many times it says that Hashem ignores in a way from the sins that we Jewish people do as a whole. Why ignores it? Because Abraham came to him and told him, listen, I kept quiet. I could ask you so many questions. I didn't ask you questions. The same way I kept quiet, when my children are going to make some sins, you also please keep quiet. And Hashem accepted it. Hashem is fine with this. So many times Hashem ignores the sin the Jewish people do as a whole. But what is the prosecutor? What is something that bothers Hashem that he will respond right away? If somebody speaks Lashon Hara, this Hashem cannot tolerate. If somebody speaks against somebody else, Hashem cannot accept it. I want to explain you something. It's like we have a funnel, okay, that accepts all kind of liquids and stuff, accept. And then, at the end of this, it's something very narrow. If this opening, if this hole will be clogged, nothing can go through. Okay? If it's going to get opened, everything can go through. So, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, just waits for one bad talk of one Jewish people, of one Jewish person. And this is how he opens that funnel, and all the problem starts. We have to be so careful, because our mouth, is this opening. Mouth can be used for many good things. But if we use it for something bad, this is the prosecutor of the Jewish people. Because the evil inclination just makes delicatessen from this. He likes it, he wants it, he wants people to fail in this. So the power, we have to learn it says, Mahu rachum afata rachum. The same way Hashem is, let's say, mercy, that's how we're supposed to be mercy. We're supposed to learn from the qualities that Hashem has. And it says in Masechet Gittin, Abba Hanan Omer, Mi kamocha chasin ya. Who are like you, God, the same way you're hardy, the same way that you're immune from hearing all kind of curses and bad words of wicked people, and Rabbi Ishmael Tana says, Mi kamocha ba'elim Hashem, mi kamocha ba'ilmim. What is ilmim? Ilmim is mute. The same way, see, when Titus, he destroyed the second temple. Titus was from Rome, right? He came and he destroyed the second temple. What did he do? He took a sword and he stabbed the curtain that covered the ark. Looked like some blood came off it. Looked like he killed, God forbid, God. That's how it looked like. And Hashem kept quiet. Hashem did not respond to this kind of act right away. When the Nazis, we just had the Yom HaShoah in Israel, when the Nazis killed and burned and decimated all these Jews, Hashem didn't respond, didn't kill them, didn't punish them right away, right? So Hashem, in a way, can keep himself and not respond. What is the strength of not responding? Why Hashem is not responding? Was it so good that Hashem is not responding? It says, if Hashem would respond and would punish them right away, we as Jewish people, we could not get to this, to the purpose of the world, which is Yemot HaMashiach. We couldn't get there. I want to explain you something. When Jewish people, when we left Egypt, and the Egyptians were chasing after us, we were by the Yam Suf. And then Hashem made a miracle, and all the Egyptians died in the Yam Suf, right? What did the Jewish people say? They started to say shiur. They were so amazed. They started to say shiur, and in their prophecy they say, Mi kamocha ba'elim Hashem. Who are like you? You are so special. You're so great, right? So the rabbi here says, Mi kamocha ba'ilmim Hashem. How could you, Hashem, keep quiet all these hundreds of years that the Jewish people were in Egypt, suffering, from the Egyptians? They were killing them, they were abusing them, they were putting their babies instead of bricks. They tortured them, they tortured their wives, they tortured their mind, their spirit. How could you keep quiet all this time? I want to tell you something. In Melachim Aleph, it speaks about Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi, he was a great prophet. I don't know if you heard, probably you did, about this great moment on Mount Carmel, where a lot of people, right, they were Ovdei HaBaal, they were believing, worshipping this idol that's called Baal, and from the other side, Eliyahu Navi tells them that there is only Hashem. So Eliyahu makes miracles, and everybody believes, and they see that Hashem is the one. And everybody cries, Hashem Elokim, Hashem Elokim. We know that Hashem is right, Hashem is right, Hashem is the God. Fine. What happens afterwards? He's still chased by Achab. They still want to kill him. So it says that he runs away from Achab for 40 days and 40 nights. He is on a run. Running away until he got to Mount Sinai. He got to Mount Sinai, and over there he came to this cave over there, and Hashem appears to him and he talks to him, and he says to him, Malach Eliyahu, why are you so upset, Eliyahu? Eliyahu tells him, Kano kineti Hashem, I was left alone, everybody forsake you, the Jewish people don't believe in you. He started talking bad about the Jewish people. Hashem tells him, והנה השם עובר, ורוח גדולה וחזק, מפרק הרים ומשבר סלעים לפני השם. There's a big wind that comes. Hashem showed him, like a hurricane, comes, kills everything on the way, breaks everything to pieces, nothing is left. And then it says, לא ברוח Hashem. Hashem doesn't appear himself in these strong winds. That's not what Hashem is. And then it says, ואחרי הרוח רעש, noise. לא ברעש השם. Not in noise. Hashem is not noise. That's not Hashem. ואחר הרעש אש, fire. לא באש השם. ואחר האש, קול דממה דקה. Silence. You don't hear anything. There's a mashal, I read it once, that whenever, let's say, somebody is blind, he's sitting and they're waiting for the king to come. So in the beginning, there's a lot of noise, there's a parade, the soldiers coming, going, so he hears and he says, the king is not here yet, the king is not here yet. When he knows that the king is there, when there's a silence, quiet, nobody talks, this is when he knows that the king is there. So this is what Hashem is saying. Wherever the silence is, there is Hashem. In Tehillim Nun Chet, we just read Tehillim here, right? It says, האמנם אלם צדק תדברו, מישרים תשפטו בני אדם? It says, what is the, how a person, what is the art of the human being? What is the person supposed to teach himself in this world? He should make himself like a mute. Ke'ilem, don't say ke'elem, ke'ilem, like a mute person. What exactly does it mean? Should we be mute? Should we talk? Should we respond? What exactly Hashem wants us to be? Angels? So it says when we got the Torah, usually we had a lot of clarity. There were no arguments. Moshe taught the Torah, everybody accepted, everything was okay. But in the Gemara it says, in the Gemara there's a lot of machlokot between Shammai and Hillel, Abaye Rava, Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish. There's always arguments. Why there are always arguments over there? So before the time of Hillel and Shammai, there were no arguments because everything was clear. But then, because we don't have the temple anymore, right? They started to have lots of machloket, arguments. What was the first machloket between Hillel and Shammai? Something about when you bring a sacrifice on a Yom Tov, if to lean on the animal or not to lean. Okay, that was the argument over there. מעשה בתלמיד מבית הלל, מסכת ביצה. A talmid from Beit Hillel comes and he brings his olah, his sacrifice, to the holy temple, and he wants to lean on it. Meets him another student from Beit Shammai and tells him, מה זו סמיכה? Why you want to lean on this animal when we know, when our Beit Shammai says that you're not supposed to lean on this? We have argument about this. Why should you do this? So he answers him, מה זו שתיקה? Okay, you have things to say. Why don't you keep quiet? That's the dialogue over there. So basically, the student of Shammai tells him, okay, he could have told him, you always argue with us. Because of you, there's no Shem Shammai mitchalel. It's not the first time. It's every year. It's all the time. Constantly. You could have told him a lot of things, but no. He said, "Ma zo smicha? Why you do that?" So he answered him instead of answering back. You don't know the law. We know. He could answer him and respond. Instead of says, "Ma zo shtika?" Better it's to get quiet, not to answer. Why do you say things? So, the same way that you get things, the same way you respond, not more than that. If you respond more than that, you're ruining it. I'll give you an example. Let's say a woman asks from her husband, on the way back, please don't forget to buy milk. And she knows that her husband keeps forgetting whatever she asked him to do. So she asked him again and again, please don't forget. And as he leaves the house, please don't forget. It's for the baby, he needs that. And as he comes home, he remembers, oh, I forgot, somebody met me on the way and I wasn't. Now, if she tells him, I knew you would forget it, and last week you also forgot it, and always you forget it, and you never pay attention to what I said, and you don't care about me, and so he can start the whole fight, and she will answer him back, and then the whole big machloket. But if she answers only for that, but I told you, it's so important, it's for the baby, he needs that. He may tell her, you know something, I'll go again. He'll tell her, I'm sorry, he'll tell her. If it's straight to the point, and you don't start with the whole big history of last year and 2 years ago and your mom and the wedding gift. So, so everything is much easier. So this is what they say. It depends how exactly you open your mouth and what exactly you do. So, people have to teach themselves sometimes to keep quiet, be like a mute people. So they say there's a whole thing here. If it's the Torah, when you keep quiet, I won't go in too much into it because it's very deep. Basically, we have to learn how to hold ourselves. Rav Volbe, he adds some very, very interesting things into this. It says, Leah tafsa et pelech hahodaya. Leah, she was using the tool of gratitude. Okay? Ve'amdu mimena, and because of this, the children that came out from her are ba'alei hodaya, these people that always give thanks. Yehuda, vayaker Yehuda ve'omar tzadka mimeni. He admitted that Tamar was right and not him. Yehuda came from Leah. David HaMelech came from Yehuda, came from Leah. Amar, Hodu Lashem Kitov, Hodu Lashem. He keeps saying thanks and all this Sefer Tehillim that he writes and so on. And Daniel, that came also from them, that says, I love Hashem, and he keeps saying thanks to Hashem and so on. Rachel, from the other word, Rachel, her sister, Tafsa b'pelech hashtika. She used the tool of keeping quiet. ועמדו כל בניה כבעלי מסתרים. All her children that came out of her were hiding exactly like her. Binyamin, in the 12 stones that the Kohen had in the Choshen, the stone of Binyamin was the even that's called Yashfe. Yashfe in Hebrew means Yesh Pe. There is mouth. It means Yesh Pe שיודע במכירתו של יוסף ואינו מגיד. He knew that the brothers sold Yosef, but he never said anything to his father, Binyamin. He wasn't in this selling. He wasn't in there. He knew, but he never said anything. These are Rachel's children. They don't say whatever is not supposed to be said. Shaul came also from Rachel. ודבר המלוכה לא הגיד לו. Shmuel just crowned him, made him a king, and he didn't say. He didn't say to the people. He didn't make a whole big deal from this. And Esther, that it says, and Esther magedet ama vet moladeta. She didn't say to Achashverosh nothing because Mordechai told her not to say. So she's in the house of the king for years and years. She's not here for 2 weeks. She's for years over there. Never said anything about where she's coming from. So, giving thanks, till now, from the time that the world was created, nobody gave thanks to Hashem until Leah came and gave thanks to Hashem. When she gave birth to her fourth boy, she was so happy, she said thank you. But silence, what is silence? Is it an act that she has to do something? Silence is a lack of talk. What's so special about being silent? So the Maharal explains on his commentary on the Megillah that by not talking, Esther made the miracle of Purim. Because she brought it from heaven, from a place that was hidden. And so we see that keeping silent can sometimes make miracles. I want to explain another thing in Brachot. Rav Papa and Rav Ashi, they teach us the secret of talk, speech, and silence. Usually, whenever there's a wedding, people talk. It says, Ezo kala na'ava chasuda. Who is the one, a bride that is so beautiful? Kala na'ava chasuda. They have to go and talk to the groom and tell him, you have such a beautiful wife. She's such a nice bride. Her hair is made nice. Her makeup, I don't know, her body, her quality, her personality. When you keep talking, when you keep saying, this communication is building, is so important. This is when there's a wedding, people talk. This is how bride talks to his groom. This is how they built a house, by communication. But whenever there's, God forbid, but whenever there's, God forbid, a mourning, Evel, this is when people should keep quiet. There's a law that when you go, God forbid, to a house of people that mourn, you're not supposed to start talking. You have to wait until the one that mourns starts to talk. You have to be quiet there, just to bear with him this silence, to bear with him the trouble that he goes through. Okay? What exactly it means? It means something very interesting. When Hashem gives us abundance of good, we don't make a whole big deal from this. Somebody gets up in the morning, because I got up in the morning yesterday. He goes, he eats, he drinks, he works, he plays, he makes exercise, he makes money, and for him, it's natural. You know, it was happening the day before, and last week, and last year, and it should continue this way. He's not asking Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Because that's natural, that's the way it's supposed to be. But God forbid, when something bad happens to him, why Hashem? That's not fair. Why did you do this? Why my family? Why my child? Why my wife? Why, I don't know. People start asking questions because it's hard. So when problem strikes, whenever there's problems, it says, in this parsha we just read, Vaidom Aaron, his 2 children died, he kept quiet. He accepted this. He didn't ask why. Why Hashem you did it? In my best day, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, Rosh Chodesh Nisan was the day that they dedicated the Mishkan. It was such a special day. From the day that the world was created, there was not such a happy day. And in this day, his 2 days were supposed to die in front of everybody. What kind of disaster is this? What kind of thing is that? Aaron, he didn't say anything, and he got a reward for that. He showed also other people how to act in this kind of situation. So, as we said, Hashem built speech so that people would communicate, right? This is how strong it is when people use this means of communication to, God forbid, instead of building, separating. How Hashem is upset when people use this tool, the tongue, the speech, the talk, to destroy, to speak bad. Oh, you know what she thinks about you? You know what she said about you? And you can destroy a whole family because of these bad talks. It says, Tole Aretz al Blima. Tole Aretz Blima, the whole world stands on your bricks, on the way that you're able to hold yourself. It says, Shlomo HaMelech in Kohelet, he says, in Kohelet he says, Et lachashot ve'et ledaber. There's time for everything. Sometimes people should talk. Sometimes people should keep quiet. We have to use these 2 tools that Hashem gave us. The tool that Leah used for talking, and the tool that Rachel used for keeping quiet. I want to add another thing into here. How a person, a human being, is so, let's say, different from the other creatures in the world, from the other animals. We know that the human being has the ability to talk, right? So, looks like to talk contains also wisdom, because this is what people are special with now. Wisdom also, not only talking. Can people talk without wisdom? Yeah. Yes. People many times can say a lot of nonsense. Even without. But can people have wisdom without talking? Yes, they can. Sometimes they cannot express themselves. Sometimes maybe they're mute. Sometimes there's, but they're able to think. They're able to have this wisdom. So it's natural for people to talk, but if they want to keep quiet, they have to work on it. It's not coming naturally. They have to work on themselves so that it says, "Siag lachochma shtika." How do we know somebody is smart? When he keeps quiet. Not when he talks, when he keeps quiet. A couple came to a rabbi, and they tell him, "Rabbi, we want a divorce. We can't, it's too hard." So the rabbi is like, "What's happening? What's the problem?" And she tells him, "My husband gets drunk very often. And when he comes home, he screams and he says all kind of bad words to me. And he's just not bearable. And then after he screams, I say something back, and then he throws sometimes some things on me, and then I throw some things on him, and then God forbid he hits me, I can't stand it." So the rabbi, he saw that there is some kind of potential in this marriage, and he didn't want to separate them. He tells her, "I have a very antique Kabbalah book in my home. And in this Kabbalah book, I could teach you something if you want. I could explain you something that you should do. Maybe that will help you." So he comes and he explains her into details exactly what she's supposed to do. He tells her, you have to find a utensil that will hold 8 ounces of water. 8 ounces of water. And then you have to go to the nearest spring next to your home. Go fill it up 3 times. Spill it again 3 times. And then fill it again. And you have to work through this, it's a formula. If you don't, it's not going to work out. And she's like, "Fine, okay, what else?" And then fill it up. And then put it in a bag that nobody will see what you're bringing to your home. Bring it to your home. When your husband comes, take 1 spoon from this water and put it in your mouth. Don't spit it out and don't drink it. Just keep it in your mouth. Don't talk. And only when he goes to sleep, this is when you're allowed to spit it out. Not before. If you're going to hold it and do it every first of the month, like tonight, Rosh Chodesh, at night, midnight, you're supposed to go out. If you do this completely, like I tell you, there's a hope that you'll be able to live it. So she's like, "Okay, I'll try." She goes, she does exactly what he tells her to do. And he comes home, she puts this spoon into her mouth with this water. And he comes and he starts screaming, "You're this!" And she's like, "And you're this!" And and she wants to answer, she really wants to answer, but she can't. The rabbi said, "The first time I will already fail myself." So she keeps herself, and he screams, and he screams, and he tells her all kind of bad words, and she cannot answer. For half an hour he screamed. Then he got tired, he was drunk, and he fell asleep. He just falls asleep. She goes, she spits it into and she starts cursing back, and she tells him bad things back. But he's snoring, he's not even hearing. She says 5, 10 minutes, whatever she wants to do, but he doesn't hear. So okay, so she also went to sleep. Second day, same thing. She puts this there. And he comes, he screams, he says, so 25 minutes he screams, but there's no answer. So he goes to sleep. That's what happens every day. Slowly, he curses less and less until he sees that there's no partner. There's no partner, there's nothing to fight for. So when there's no partner, they start to, instead of screaming and yelling, they start to talk. And through talking, through communication, they start to appreciate each other. He tells her, "You are fine, you didn't answer me the other day, kol hakavod." They start talking, they start communicating. That was the wisdom of that rabbi that saw the potential that if you're going to speak, don't answer back. But she couldn't hold herself. So that was the only way for him, keep your mouth full of something so that you won't be able to answer back. This is the answer for all these people that they say, "But I cannot keep quiet. What should I do? He's bothering me. He's going." is on my nerves. I don't know what to say. People can not only keep their mouth, they can control their thoughts. How to do that? We know that Lashon Hara, where is it coming from, Lashon Hara? Mazet Tzarut Ain, when you're not happy with, you cannot stand that he succeeds. It bothers you. Why him, not me? It comes all from the bad thoughts that we have in our mind. Can we control these bad thoughts?
Of course.
We can. It's all up to us. Somebody that teaches himself to hold himself, not to answer back, he makes less problems when he talks to other people, whether it's like in a community, whether it's in the family, with his wife, with his boss, with his co-worker, with his he doesn't make all kind of problems. He doesn't say, he doesn't stumble in. He doesn't, because he doesn't talk too much. He doesn't say. A lot of Shlom Bayit issues are, so the mother-in-law, let's say, tells her husband, I saw your wife shopping at Aaron's. What exactly she had to buy for so much money? Or why did she have to say that? What's our business? This is where it starts. Or she tells her sister-in-law, I saw you buying this jewelry in this store. You know that, whatever. Sometimes you release information that people don't have to know. And if people are not smart, this is how these problems start. You don't have to start with this. They wouldn't talk about this. She wouldn't get upset. He wouldn't, and you could solve. From the beginning, solve your problems and not to get into here. There was this young woman that from the time that she got married, it wasn't hard in the beginning. Okay, fine. But who doesn't go through hard times in life? But she made every small little thing, like a disaster. Oh, my mother